Give me back my child, Nkiru!
Night Henry returned from China. Nkiru locked herself inside the bathroom and cried silently, her hands pressed against a fake pregnancy bump that had become heavier than the truth itself. Outside the door, her husband's suitcase lay unopened. When Nkiru married Henry Okafor, Umuahia did not sleep for 3 days. The wedding was loud, expensive, and glamorous. Henry was a wealthy businessman, deeply involved in import and export, always flying in and out of countries: China, Dubai, Turkey. His convoy blocked roads. His friends sprayed money until the floor looked like a market ground. People whispered in admiration. Nkiru has married wealth. She has arrived. But what the crowd didn't know was that joy does not always follow money. Barely 6 months into the marriage, the pressure started. Nkiru, when will we carry our grandchild? Don't delay too much. Are you sure everything is working? At first, she laughed it off, but after 1 year, laughter turned to fear. 2 years passed, 3, 5, 10 years. Every time Henry traveled, her in-laws reminded her of her failure. A woman's crown is her womb. Money cannot replace a child. At night, Nkiru cried until her chest hurt.
She cried while bathing. She cried while cooking. She cried in silence beside her sleeping husband. Sometimes she would stare at her flat stomach and whisper, "God, what did I do?" Through all this, Chiamaka, her younger sister, was always there. Chiamaka lived with Nkiru and Henry in the city before marriage. She was calm, gentle, and full of empathy, the opposite of Nkiru's emotional storms. When Nkiru cried, Chiamaka held her. When insults came from in-laws, Chiamaka defended her. "Don't listen to them," Chiamaka would say softly. "God has not finished with you." But deep inside, Nkiru was dying. Then Chiamaka got married to Uche. Uche was also a businessman, hardworking, focused, but not as wealthy as Henry. Their wedding was modest, peaceful, filled with love rather than noise. 2 months later, life took a turn that no one expected. Chiamaka began to feel strange. Morning nausea, unusual tiredness, a heaviness in her body. When the doctor confirmed it, she sat quietly, stunned. "Madam, you are pregnant." Joy and fear crashed together in her chest. She told Uche, her husband, and he lifted her off the ground laughing. "My house will hear laughter again." When Nkiru heard the news, she traveled immediately. She arrived at Chiamaka's home with bags of baby clothes, cartons of provisions, baby baths, wrappers, and foodstuff, as if she were already preparing for something more than celebration. She stayed 5 days. Every night, she watched Chiamaka sleep. Every morning, she rubbed Chiamaka's stomach. Her eyes followed the womb with an intensity that made Chiamaka uncomfortable. "God has remembered you," Nkiru said often, smiling too hard. But when she returned home, she cried bitterly. Months later, Chiamaka delivered a baby boy. Uche was overwhelmed with joy. Again, Nkiru visited, this time staying longer, helping with bathing the baby, cooking, waking up at night. People praised her. What a good aunt. Only Chiamaka noticed that Nkiru sometimes held the child too tightly, too possessively. After 5 months, Nkiru came again. This time, Henry had traveled abroad and Uche was also not around. That night, Nkiru locked the door. She fell on her knees. "Biko, don't reject me." Chiamaka froze. "Nkiru, what is wrong?" Nkiru cried until her body shook. "Can I ask you for a favor?" "What favor?" Then the words dropped like thunder. "Can you give me a child?" Chiamaka stared. "I don't understand." Nkiru wiped her tears. "You will get pregnant again for Uche.
I will also pretend to be pregnant. When you give birth, I will take the baby. You will tell your husband the baby died during delivery." The room spun. "Are you mad?" Chiamaka screamed. "Nkiru, that is wickedness." Nkiru held her legs. "I would die if I don't have a child. I cannot survive this shame. Please." That was the night the plan was revealed. Chiamaka was shocked, broken, terrified, but love blinded her. She agreed. When Chiamaka took in again, the lie began. Every 2 months, Nkiru came secretly. They went to the store together to buy silicone baby bumps, increasing the size each time. Nkiru practiced walking slowly. She practiced groaning. She practiced smiling through fear. Whenever Henry returned from China, she avoided him. "The doctor said no intimacy till birth," she said. "It's risky." She moved into another room. Henry trusted her. When Chiamaka went for scan, the doctor smiled. "Congratulations, madam, twins." Her heart sank. When she told Nkiru, her eyes widened. "Twins?" she whispered. For a brief second, silence hung in the air. Then greed crept into Nkiru's voice. "Then I will take both." Chiamaka stared at her. "What did you just say?" "I said I will take both babies," Nkiru repeated, her voice firmer now. "Is it not God that did it? Why should I still remain childless after all this?" Chiamaka's heart pounded. "No," she said sharply. "That was never our agreement. One child, only one." Nkiru's face darkened. "You don't understand what 11 years of barrenness does to a woman. You don't understand the shame." Chiamaka held her ground, tears rolling down her cheeks. "And you don't understand what it means to give away even one child. I will not give you 2. If that is your condition, then let everything end here." For a long moment, Nkiru said nothing. Then she looked away and nodded. "Fine," she muttered, "one child." But something had already changed inside her. From that moment, Nkiru became extra careful. She insisted they register at the same hospital. She said it will make everything easier. Same doctors, same nurses, no mistakes. Chiamaka hesitated, but fear and trust silenced her questions. The hospital agreed. 2 sisters, 2 pregnancies, one truth hidden under layers of lies. As the delivery date drew closer, Nkiru prepared like a woman who was truly pregnant. Unknown to Henry, unknown to her in-laws, she secretly began using hormonal medications, drugs meant to stimulate breast milk production. Every night, she endured the side effects, headaches, nausea, dizziness, but she never complained. "I must breastfeed," she told herself. "If not, they will suspect." She practiced holding a baby. She practiced breastfeeding positions. She even soaked her clothes at night to make it look like milk stains. When Henry called from China, she would press the fake bump and smile. "Our baby is kicking," she said. Henry laughed with pride. "My son." The day of delivery finally came. Chiamaka labored in pain, not just physical pain, but emotional agony. When the cries of 2 babies filled the room, she turned her face to the wall and wept. 2 boys, 2 hearts beating, 2 lives tied to one terrible secret. Nkiru arrived shortly after, acting weak, groaning loudly as if she too had just delivered. The nurses believed her. The records supported her. The lies were airtight. When the time came, Chiamaka handed over the second baby boy. Her hands trembled. "Take care of him," she whispered. Nkiru collected the baby quickly, almost eagerly. "I will," she replied, without meeting Chiamaka's eyes. At home, Everything went according to plan. Nkiru breastfed the baby successfully. Milk flowed. Her in-laws rejoiced. A woman with breasts full of milk cannot be lying, they said proudly. My wife is strong, he told everyone. God has rewarded us. The child dedication was loud. Money flew. Joy filled the compound. Chiamaka watched from a distance, her heart bleeding quietly. She had kept her own child, but she had lost another. 8 months later, Chiamaka's phone rang in the middle of the night. Nkiru? She answered sleepily. A scream exploded from the other end. Chiamaka, I'm pregnant! I'm pregnant! Chiamaka sat up instantly. What? The doctor confirmed it today, Nkiru cried, laughing and sobbing at the same time. This one is real. God has finally remembered me. Chiamaka closed her eyes slowly. She congratulated her sister, but her heart was heavy. She knew what this pregnancy meant. The borrowed child was no longer needed. Nkiru's pregnancy journey was smooth. No fear, no hiding, no lies. Henry followed her to scans proudly. Her in-laws treated her like royalty. When she delivered a baby girl, the house exploded with joy. My daughter! Henry shouted. The celebration was bigger than the first. From that day, Nkiru changed, but slowly, quietly, dangerously. 3 years passed. Then it happened again. Another pregnancy. This time, Nkiru gave birth to a baby boy, her first biological son. That was the day everything shifted. The child she once begged for, the 5-year-old boy Chiamaka gave her, suddenly became a reminder of shame. She started withdrawing from him. At first, it was subtle. She stopped calling him her son. She stopped hugging him. She stopped defending him. Then it became loud. Why are you always disturbing me? Can't you see your mate behaving better?
Henry noticed. Why are you so harsh on this boy? He asked one evening. He's just 5. Nkiru snapped. You always take his side. From that moment, cruelty became routine. She shouted at him for small things. She beat him more than the others. She compared him constantly. See your younger sister, so calm. See your brother, so smart. You are useless. His siblings laughed at him. You are not like us. His birthday came and passed with us cake, but loud parties were thrown for her biological children. Chiamaka visited once and almost fainted. The boy looked thin. His clothes were torn. Marks covered his body. Right in front of her, Nkiru screamed at him, "Get out of my sight!" Chiamaka's voice shook. Nkiru, why are you doing this? Nkiru turned sharply. Don't put mouth in my family again. Henry was constantly at war with her. What did this boy do to you? He asked repeatedly. What crime did he commit? Nkiru had no answer. From that day, Chiamaka knew one thing. The child she gave out of love was now paying for it with his childhood. One hot afternoon, Chiamaka could not bear it anymore. She dressed quietly and went to Nkiru's supermarket, a large, well-known store that bore Nkiru's name boldly at the entrance. Customers were coming in and out, staff greeted her respectfully. But Chiamaka did not care about dignity anymore. When she saw Nkiru standing behind the counter, issuing instructions, her legs began to shake. She walked straight to her. Nkiru, she called softly. Nkiru turned irritated. What are you doing here? Without warning, Chiamaka dropped to her knees on the tiled floor. People gasped. Customers froze. Nkiru, Biko, I'm begging you. Treat that boy fairly. If you cannot love him like your own, at least stop hurting him. Nkiru's face hardened instantly. Get up, she shouted. Are you mad? Chiamaka clung to her wrapper. That child is suffering. He cries himself to sleep. He looks at other children celebrating birthdays and asks questions I cannot answer. Nkiru exploded. So what do you want me to do? Did I force you to give me the child? People were now openly staring. Chiamaka sobbed louder. I gave him to you out of love. Please, Nkiru, please. Nkiru leaned closer, her voice sharp like a blade. Listen to me carefully, she hissed. If you ever open your mouth again, go and tell your husband everything. Let us expose ourselves together. Chiamaka froze. You think I am afraid? Nkiru continued. If you talk, I will talk. Let us see who will survive it. Then she shouted at her staff. Clear this woman out of my shop. Chiamaka stood up slowly, humiliation burning through her veins. She walked out, her heart completely shattered. From that day, Chiamaka's nights became her enemy. Every night she dreamed the same dream. Her son, thin, barefoot, crying. Mama, help me. She would wake up screaming, sweating, clutching her chest. Her mental health began to crumble. She became withdrawn. She lost weight. She cried without warning. 7 years had passed. The boy was now 7 years old, still suffering, still unloved, still beaten by Nkiru's words, still mocked by her biological children. You are not our real brother. You were picked from outside. They laughed while he cried, and Nkiru did nothing. Sometimes she joined them. Chiamaka tried to endure. She tried to pray, but the dreams would not stop. One night, she woke up shaking violently. She turned to her husband, Uche, sleeping beside her. She could not breathe. She shook him hard. Uche, wake up! He opened his eyes, alarmed. What is it? Chiamaka slid down from the bed and knelt on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I can't carry this anymore, she cried. I am dying inside. Uche sat up fully now. What are you talking about? Chiamaka raised her face, soaked with tears. I gave my sister our child. Silence. What? Uche whispered. She told him everything. The barrenness, the fake pregnancy, the bribes, the baby swap, the cruelty, the threats. Uche's hands clenched into fists. So, that boy, he said slowly, is my son. Chiamaka nodded, shaking. Uche stood up, his whole body trembling with rage. Your sister is wicked, and your heart was too good. He took a deep breath. But enough is enough. He looked at his wife and said words that made her heart pound with fear and hope at the same time. Tomorrow morning, we are going to bring my son home. By 6 a.m., the sun had not fully risen when Uche and Chiamaka stood before Henry's house. The compound was quiet. Uche knocked hard. Henry came out, confused, still in his nightwear. What is going on this early morning? Uche did not waste time. Sit down, he said calmly. You need to hear the truth. Inside the sitting room, Chiamaka could barely breathe as she watched Uche speak. He told Henry everything. The 11 years of barrenness, the fake pregnancy, the bribed hospital staff, the swapped baby, the cruelty. Henry's face drained of color. What? He whispered. He turned slowly to Nkiru, who had been standing silently by the door. You mean this is true? Nkiru collapsed. Henry roared. So you could be this wicked? He shouted. Wicked enough to deceive me? And more wicked enough to torture an innocent child? He held his head in disbelief. Is this how deep your heart goes? Nkiru wept loudly, but Henry would not listen. Uche walked quietly toward the boy, who had been standing in a corner, confused and frightened. He knelt in front of him. My son, Uche said, softly, voice breaking, forgive me. The boy looked up, tears in his eyes. Uche lifted him gently into his arms. Let's go home. Without another word, Uche walked out with his child. Chiamaka remained behind. And that was when the storm broke. Chiamaka charged at Nkiru. "All the tears I cried for you," she screamed. "All the sacrifices I made," she slapped her. Nkiru screamed back. "You should have kept quiet." They fought. Pain, betrayal, years of buried resentment spilling out. Henry rushed in, holding them apart. "Enough," he shouted. The news spread fast. Within days, the kinsmen in the village heard everything. The elders summoned both families. Under the old tree, voices were raised, then lowered. Nkiru was disciplined with heavy words. "You used another woman's womb as a tool. You turned blessing into cruelty." Chiamaka was not spared. Kindness without wisdom destroys families. You endangered a child and your marriage. Both women knelt. They begged their husbands. They begged the child. They begged the elders. Tears flowed. Later, Nkiru met Chiamaka privately. She fell at her feet. "Please forgive me," she cried. "I lost myself." Chiamaka lifted her gently. "I forgive you," she said quietly, "but we can never be close again." Nkiru nodded, broken. Some bonds, once torn, cannot be mended. Not every sacrifice is holy. Not every prayer should be answered at all costs. And a child should never pay for the wounds of adults. Would you sacrifice your own child to save your sister from shame? Or is there a line love should never cross?
Give me back my child, Nkiru. All I want